afternoon, or good evening, or good night. So it depends on the time you are watching this video. Yes, my name is Lucas Kahare, and I'm a tutor for teaching and learning resources too. As you can see on the screen, there are 4 programs. Yes, Diploma in Primary Education, Junior Primary Education, Bachelor of Education, Honors Degree, Bachelor of Education in Secondary, or yes, in pre or in primary. So those are the 4 courses that study this subject, teaching and learning resources. So I hope that you did well for your teaching and learning resources 1. And that is just the foundation before you you study teaching learning resources too. So you are welcome, and have been a tutor for this teaching and learning resources, for quite a number of years. So, and most of the students before. So actually this presentation or this tutorial is about your 3 examination for next year, 2022. Okay, now is 2021 December. Yes, I'm doing this presentation, but this is examination for 2022 for all 3 semesters. Okay, so hope that we are going to pay attention and take up them and I mean focus on the main points, so that it will help you to pass your examination. Yes, as you can see, those are my details. That is my phone number on the screen. And that is my name, and that's my email. So, and the contact hour is there, because yes, from after work from 5 or 8:30. Yes, 5 to 6:30. Or so, yeah, but yes, I do receive also, according to my experience, sometimes I do receive some calls during the day, and I think it's not, I also have a lot of work to do. So better sometime also you can call me in the weekend. During the weekend is also fine. Okay, but during the week is there from 5 up to 6:30 is good time for me to communicate. And also, I would like to advise students that just start, you should start doing your assignment as early as possible. I think that your assignment submission will be on January. I think you all have your assignments, of course. By the time you will be watching this video, you are watching this video, you already submitted your assignment, that I'm sure. So, but always make sure that before the date of examination, please call me. Don't call me, during the day of examination, or even 1 day left for you to sit exam. Okay, please prepare on time, so that you have time to ask questions and do your preparation. So I hope that is a good information, and I think that you will cooperate on this one. Thank you. Yes, these are teaching learning resources too. So meaning that you are expected to read all 7 modules, because each course or each program has got study guide, okay, like DPPE, DJPE, B honors, and so forth. Each program has a study guides, but all those 4 study guides, they have 7 units. So the examination also will cover all 7 units, not just partial or 50% of the study guide, but 100% of the study guide. So that's why I'm saying that please study all the 7 units, as soon as possible. And also, what you should do is, at least I advise you to revise the past assignment papers and the examination papers. So, for example, examination, yes, of course, it's based on the units that has been asked in the assignment, but so questions always changes every year, so you don't write the same question paper. Yes, the question will come in different ways, so just get prepared. But examples, so you can get them in a previous past paper and also through assignments. So as I said, yeah, of course, this presentation, this exam presentation covers 4 modules, okay? I mean 4 study guides for this program, DPPE, DJPE, BED, and BES, okay? So please take note that any study guide of those 2, yes, you can also use, for example, some students say, no, some of the things are not common to my study guide. No, they are just the same, okay? They're just the same. You find teaching resources, for example, in Unit 1, for both 4 study guides, you'll find it there. But of course, if you have one study guide for BEd, also use it. If you are doing DJP, also use that study guide, both. So just the same. So actually, I'm not going to, to keep you long. So I'm just going to pick up the main points. So the learning contents for today, for this tutorial or for this presentation, is just going to focus on those 7 units: Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So those are units which you are going to study for you to do the preparation for the examinations. For example, in Unit 1, so there in Unit 1, you know what's there. It's just about general information, or you are going to create resources of teaching your subjects, okay? So you have to, you are going to look up the resources, okay? You are going to hunt for resources. Okay, where are those resources? Where can you find resources? Maybe to teach mathematics. Where are you going to find resources to teach English? So as a teacher, you must know how to use resources, okay? And for you to do some experiments in your classroom. Maybe you are teaching natural science. Maybe you are teaching social study. Those are there. So you have to go maybe through YouTube. Or you go to get some newspapers, magazine, all those resources. You have to learn on how to get it. And Unit 2 is the role of resource media in communication and learning theories. Yes, yes, of course, here you are going to study media, in communication. Yes, here actually I think Unit 2 is also about computers. So how are you going to use computers, okay, to teach your students, and also different types of computer? What computer is made of, okay? So you are going to know how to use communication technology, like how to use YouTube, okay? To teach your students. Nowadays, there are a lot of resources on YouTube. So any topic, maybe, for example, maybe you are teaching natural study about condensation or respiration. So you just write there, maybe study about the respiration. So the resources will come and students will be able to watch, as long as you have the speaker in your classroom and with a computer. So the student will listen while they are watching. And after that, also when you are going to teach, so it will be easier for you. So these are the way you also have to learn to look for those resources, okay, using YouTube, okay, using DVD, video clips, or of course, nowadays you have a lot of technologies. Maybe your your phone, you have taken a video somewhere, you can show them to your class, and so forth. And Unit 3, the use of further educational technologies in schools. Okay, you are also going to look at on that one. And Unit 4, the role of educational resources for inclusive education and assessment is also very much important. You know that as a teacher, at your primary school or secondary school, so you teach different kind of learners. Yes, not every learner is perfect or right, okay? So you will teach those who don't hear, you will teach those who don't see, and all those. So how are you going to include those learners, okay? Those learners, who have physical disability or emotional disability. How are you going to include them with other learners who are normal in the same class, so that when you teach, they are at the same level? So what resources are you going to use? It's also important. And Unit 5, the management of media in the class and the school context, okay? the management of media in the class and school context. So here you are going to teach on how to manage the resources. For example, let me say, yes, at your school, maybe the classroom, where are you going to store the books? Where are you going to store maybe your equipments at school, maybe laboratory equipments? Where are you going to put them? And also you are going to talk about, for example, you have a lot of tools like maybe computers or test tube. So, and there are different teachers who use those school equipment or materials. So how are you going to use those materials now? Okay, so you have to draw up a form, okay, where teachers will come and borrow the equipment, and also they have to sign when they return the equipment, all those things. So okay, you are going also to learn. And Unit 6, the importance and function of Information Resources Center. So you know that at school, you need to have a library at school. Yes, of course, you need to have a library where you put books, or maybe some stockholders or like companies or parents will get some books and then bring them to the library so that learners can use those books. And then, so what's the importance of those one now? Information Resources Center, okay, like library or music center or information center. Even in your community, there are school library and there are also community library. So we are just going to talk about those ones. And also the use of peer tutoring in schools. So this one is very much important as a teacher. So you are in a team. I mean, you are teaching your learners, your students. So not always you are the one who's going only to speak a lot, teach, no. But you have to include learners also, I mean, to help others to understand. So you are going to recognize some learners who will stand in the front of other learners to teach or to help them understand some topics. Okay, so you can see the advantage of peer tutoring. Say that yes, for example, learners are able to understand the other learners when they are explaining, and also this will help integration between learners to know each other and so forth. Okay, so those are 7 units just in summary. So we are just going to do, so we are not going to stay that long. So we are just going to speak this quickly so that you just get the main point. So Unit 1, creating resources. Yes, of course, in this one, as I said, Unit 1 is just about how you are going to use resources like newspaper or magazine to teach various courses, okay, or various subjects. I mean, English, mathematics, social study, or yes, in other books we call mathematics. It's also there. I mean, the health education is there, history is there in other. So it depends, okay, other courses. So that's why I said just get some. But English and math and social study, I think they are common in all 4 study guides. So you should know where you should get, how are you going to use newspaper and magazine, okay, to teach those 4 courses, okay. So if you read through your study guide, so you are going to learn more, like for example, you can use a newspaper. In newspaper there are a lot of information in. So there are, for example, there are list of items with their cost, or they are also, in a newspaper they publish weather forecast, or for example, the rainfall or the temperature. So I mean, you can give students all to draw graphs, or you can give students to calculate some numbers and add the items and so forth. And also English, there are a lot of things, okay? Those are just, this is just about a hint. I'm not going to teach each point, so I'm just going to, so I'm just trying to explain to you so how you are going to study and where you should focus for your examination. So the use of magnifying glasses and substance from kitchen. So these are also resources. So how are you going to use magnifying glasses to teach? So you know that magnifying glass, you are not going to use it. So these are, for example, natural science. For example, yes, newspaper, magazine, also you can use it to teach social study or history. But this magnifying glass now for natural science. You see that all these are resources. And how you are going to use some substance in your kitchen. There are some kitchens say, you know, they are cooking oil, they are maize meal, breads, beans, all those kind of things. Those are, you know, those are chemicals that you can use to demonstrate teaching natural science, or yeah, for example, change, chemical change or physical change or something like that, which is there. Okay, those are just example. So you must know what is magnifying glass is. Okay, what is magnifying glass? You should know, explain it sometimes. Yes, in the exam it comes like that. And also how to teach it. How are you going to organize your class to do those experiments? Okay, using magnifying glass, and how are you going to carry the experiment by using those substance from the kitchen to teach your students. Maybe chemical change. Maybe you boil water, or maybe you take a ice block from fridge. Okay, you heat them. Those things, you know. So I think you know of those of you who teach natural science. And here, Unit 2, as I said, here is also about a bit of computer use of computers in primary setting in schools to learners. So please know concepts like what's a modem, what's bandwidth, animation, backup files, and so forth. Okay, kilobytes, megabytes. If you read through, there are various concepts of computer technology. Okay, those are one you should know also. What's a modem? Modem is this, bandwidth. I think you know. I mean, it's clearly explained in your books, so I'm just giving you hints what is needed for the examination. Computer assistant instruction, which means the use of computer. I mean, the advantage of computer, you know, computer assistant instruction is using computer to teach your students. Okay, using computers to teach your students. For example, yes, PowerPoint, you can use PowerPoint, you can use Microsoft Word. I think those you will get in Unit 3, yeah, those ones, okay? So, but here now, like you need to know parts of computer, because your students need also to know a computer. You know, you can't just tell students to work on a computer while they don't know, they don't understand what's a computer and how it works. So you should know that the mouse is the input, the keyboard is the input, the speaker is output. Okay, that big box contains microprocessor. So the monitor output, you can see that also, like printer output, all those kinds. So you can show students there, so in your classroom, so that students can know. So before they can use a computer. So also you should know also the advantage now, or for example, advantage of using computers in your classroom. So for example, when students every day in the class, each one should sit on the computer and you just start teaching. What is the good of that? Okay, what is the gaining? What if what are the objectives? What are the learning outcome a student going to get from using teaching and learning, like computer? Okay, and also the advantage of using computers. Okay, each student get in the class and each one sit on a computer. So what's that? I mean, disadvantage of it. So it's also good, okay, for learners. So those are just things. I think they are clearly explained also in your book. And different teaching learning application software that can be used in teaching. And they are also, you know, that using computer, there are some software that help you teach. Like PowerPoint, yes, like here right now I'm doing presentation, I'm using PowerPoint. Okay, like you, when you are going to submit your assignment, you are going to use Microsoft Word for you to submit your assignments or so. So those are some of the things that we need to know, or that you're supposed to know, and some learning outcome objective written there. So there are a lot of learning outcome. You know that when you open your study guide, so there's a learning outcome, point by point. So these are just some of the learning outcomes. So, and also important also to tell learners, to teach them how are you going to introduce learners into using computers. You see, learners are excited. For example, during those are the first actual, like those who are first time computer users, when they get in the labs. So how are you going to teach, to tell them how they are going to use the computer? So because you have to be very careful. Some, they don't know what's a mouse, they don't know what this keyboard you are sitting there, they don't know. So you have to tell them, to introduce them how to use computers. I think those points are clearly also in your study guide. Computer lab rules, that you are in the computer, there should be rules. Okay, so as a teacher, so is that good for you to allow learners to come with water, with food like juice? So while they are using computer, now they are drinking. So is that good? And also, is that good also to make noise in the computer lab or so on? So you should set up some rules so that when learners are there, so they have to behave. You know that these equipment are so expensive. What happens that if learners behave, maybe so they break down the monitor, or maybe they pick up a system box and drop it, maybe it's broken. So all this will add cost, okay, to your school system. I mean to your school budget. So this is also an extra cost. So that's, you need to consider that one, that learners should know how to use a computer and set up your lab rules. And also you should know different type of computers. Yeah, but at this level, I think there are only microcomputers like desktop computer, laptop computer, yes, your mobile phone, okay, like Android, okay, yes, your mobile phone, and so forth, okay, and tablets. So those are different types of computers. Like your phone is a computer, so computer is everywhere, okay. Your mobile phone is also a computer, but in other, but the main type of computer is not only macro, but it should be macro computer, like mainframe computer, min computer, supercomputers. They are categorized into 4. Okay, macro computer, the one we are using, like macro computer. This one I'm using now, like I'm doing presentation to you. I'm using macro computer, a desktop computer. Those are macro example of macro computer. It's a mobile phone here, Android is example of macro computer, and your tablet, your PC is also and your laptop. Those are example of macro computer. But there are other super computers which they use, like insurance, where they can store a lot of huge amount of data of customers. And there are also some computers which they use in production, like maybe in Coca-Cola, to store, to monitor the amount of products are being produced, maybe amount of beer, cane, or Coca-Cola, or so forth. Those are also different type of computers, different from the computer that you use. For example, your laptop can be used to monitor productions, and your laptop can be used just to store huge amount of data of customers' insurance company. And also your laptop can't be used, for example, to monitor satellites which are being sent in the space, or to monitor an aeroplane. How is, for example, the Namibian airline flying from Namibia to South Africa to Germany. So there are some special computers which they use to monitor those things. So it's very much important. So you should also tell your learners about it. And the Unit 3, so we are almost there. Yes, Unit 3, the use of educational technologies in upper primary. So here now is a technology. There are type of technologies here. Unit 3, learning outcome, for example, using digital video clips. Yes, you take a video clip, maybe outside there, you went maybe to the industry to take some video clip, and then you show them to learners. YouTube is very much important. Everybody uses YouTube. Like me, I also use YouTube to teach my students, yes, at the university. Yes, I use it also to teach my students. So sometimes I can download some YouTubes and then show them. So it's a learning technology very much. And the virtual field trip, For example, maybe you take some learners in the bush there, maybe to watch out, maybe to study different type of trees. So you take some picture or some video and all those kind of. So when you come back, maybe after 1 week, you show them how you went out. Maybe you went to visit a community in your school area. Maybe you went to visit maybe in the bush there to see different type of insect. So they are also able to watch this field trip. And also you also expected, for example, how teaching and learning can benefit from internet searches. For the importance of internet, how can internet support teaching, support you to teach? How? For example, yes, you can find a lot of books, teaching materials. You can Google. Now it's Googling. Everybody, even now learners, even you give them some work, everything they must Google. So it's like yes, you can get books on the internet. Nowadays, sometimes those books which are available on the internet. So some schools are saving money now instead of buying physical books. Okay, physical book you buy and all those. So those things are now not really important because most of the books are being being uploaded on the internet. You can get them, download them, and use it. And also, since now most schools are getting computers and internet, just you put them there on the school server also, so students can download them. Okay, can download them, and then I'm thinking maybe through their mobile phone and use it. So even though school nowadays, maybe I don't think this time of COVID, yes, they are technology is changing everything. I think those years when you take for example, you take your mobile phone to school, maybe the teachers will take it, that you are not learning. But now, those phones are the one now we are looking for to learn. So I've seen that, yes, I also have some relatives. I mean, they write you that we need phone and need to do my homework. But teachers those years, they used to pray, hey, don't take phone to school, it will disturb you, you can't learn well. Now we need them to learn, isn't it? You need them to learn. Okay? So you can't teach everything on a book only or writing on a chalkboard. Things are changing now. So you can refer them to certain website or give them a video on a YouTube to watch and solve the problem on themselves. So now learner-centered education. Okay, that's the importance of internet. Okay? So you can read another thing. So online education, so you see that this study guide was written before COVID, isn't it? Okay? This study guide was written before COVID came into existence, and it has got a good guideline on how to use educational technology. Like we talk about like YouTube, those are educational technology. Online education. What is the importance of online education? You see, there have been breakdown now here for COVID-19. You see that the students have to go back home to stay there for a month, 2 months. So what about education? So education should not go on. Education should keep on going. Okay? So COVID is not here to destroy education. Education will still on in progressing. So online education, for example, now students have their mobile phone, and you also have your mobile phone or your computer. Okay, now is a lockdown. You are at your house, and maybe you teach 400 students, 500 students. They are from different regions. Okay, for example, student studying at Windhoek Academia or Windhoek Higher School or Centaurus Higher School. They are not only from Windhoek. There are some from Omaheke region. There are some from Kavango region. There are some from Omaheke region. There are some from Zambezi region. You see? So they are now locked down. They went back to their houses. So, but online education will play a role now here. Okay, since learners now have their mobile phone, so you can put all information on the school's information learning management system. I think that most of the school, like town schools, they have now coming into learning management system like Moodle or maybe Blackboard or any other. So you can upload now those materials, your slide in mathematics, or you can shoot a video. Okay, you are teaching mathematics, then upload this on a school management so learners can log in and watch the video that you are teaching exactly, so they can also ask questions. That's a benefit of online education, which means learners can receive your lectures. Okay, you are teaching, you upload your assignment, you upload the work, the assignment exercise, you upload them there, learners are able to get them. So if you give them tests, you also give them tests. Okay, the moment that learners log in, so they can also write tests. And learners also can communicate themselves, interactions, the students' interactions, or you can also interact with students online. So, yes, I've been teaching these courses, from 2016, but the coronavirus just came in the beginning of 2020. So I never knew that so online education will come into, much useful with power. So now I'm able even to explain more. Okay, those years I never explained about a school learning management system. So I put this at the level of higher education, but now online now is also on a secondary education. So those are the key points. So pay much attention on that. So Unit 4, the role of educational resources for inclusive education and assessments. Okay, so as I said, not all learners are the same. Learners are unique. Okay, so are they not at the same level? So how are you going to integrate them? Maybe some learners are slow, some learners are fast. So how you make sure that your resources, what you are teaching, is reaching all learners. Okay, maybe learners who can hear well and so forth. So how to use of multimedia to support learner with learning difficulties. Okay, this question is always there. For example, with language learning disabilities, okay, maybe they can't pronounce word properly, or they can't speak well, mathematic learning disabilities, or they don't know how to count numbers. Those learners, they don't know how to count numbers. So which software or material or whatever resource that you are going to use to help you teach learners with learning disabilities or language, they can't pronounce words properly, or they can't hear very well, or even see. Okay, so you are going also to learn how to use peer and self-assessment rubric in different subjects. So here we are going to what is a rubric. So peer assessment rubrics, self-assessment rubrics. So since we talk about online teaching, so when you give the assignment, sometimes maybe yes you can give learners to mark for themselves. So you have to create a rubric. Okay, you have to create a rubric in which learners are going to follow. So a rubric is just like a criteria which explains how assessment should be done. Okay, for example, the marking criteria, how marking should be done. Maybe yes, if student, for example, describe the history of Namibia. So yes, how Namibia came in, gain independence. Oh, learners will write blah blah blah. So now the rubric now will guard, for example. So did a learner provide introduction? So did learner say about maybe the leaders in Namibia who provide who brought independence? Mark allocation. Okay. So if maybe learners wrote about introduction, how many marks? 5. So if learners also include or describe some leaders who brought independence in Namibia, maybe it's 5 marks. Okay. And also maybe learners talk about maybe education system, transitional of education system. They'll talk about Bantu education system and now inclusive education system. Maybe you give 5 marks. So now it will guide you how are you going to award marks. For example, if learner provide introduction, you simply give 5 marks. So if a learner discuss about leaders who brought independence, so you simply give 5 marks. That's what what we call rubric, just a criteria, so which explains how assessment should be marked, or how assessment should be done. Okay? So, and you can give also learners to mark for themselves by following rubric. That's this self-assessment rubric. And also you give learners to mark the other learners' work, okay? Their peers' work. So that's called peer assessment rubric. So that's what you are going to also to study. So how to use rubric in different subjects, okay? How rubric now, this categorizing how assessment, for example, in mathematics. So how the marking criteria in mathematics should be, and how can you design the marking for social study, for natural science, and so forth. So Unit 5, the management of media in the class and school context. So how are you going to, as a school, you are a teacher at school, maybe one day you will be appointed to be as a principal or head of department. So you have to come up with how to take care of school facility and resources. So you have to know how to store books. Okay, well, you know that learners can, so you should know how to take care of school's resources, like books, equipment, chairs, all those kind of things. Okay, you should know. So alternative storage plan in absence of central storage facilities such as media card storage, cabinet, plastic. So for example, if your school now, at some school they build a facility where books should be kept, where equipment like laboratory, side where you keep test tube and so forth. So in absence that you don't have those now facilities not provided at school. For example, those schools which were built before independence, so they were not considered those things. So how now are you going to store those resources? Okay, different way of how teachers within and across school should could cooperate to share resources such as sharing. Should share resources like question paper, teaching materials, learning lesson plans, and so forth. Okay, it's very much important. Also, you got also in school the management of media in the classroom. So Unit 6, the importance and functions of information resource center. I said yes, libraries. The main library. I think there's also a question which how to make a classroom as a main resource center. Okay, it's always that such question. For example, in your classroom, so you know that information resource centers like entertainment center in your community. Okay, maybe yes, playground also yes, also information center. But now talk about library. Okay, at your school is a library where you find books, dictionaries, CDs, and all other things, question papers, and so forth. But within your class, how are you going to make sure it must look like a library, or it must look like when maybe you want something, maybe learner, maybe to, so how can you make it look like a resources, the area where learners can get resources? Okay, so you make your classroom to look like a library, okay, where you are flexible to get resources or information when it's needed. Not necessarily, hey, go to the library and do whatever. So how now? So which means it's also explained, okay? Okay, it's also well explained there in the book, how can you make your classroom to be a main resources center. So Unit 7, okay, yes, I'm reminded there. Yes, Unit 7, the use of peer tutoring in schools. So here we talk about peer tutoring and peer mentoring, okay? So how are you going to make a program, okay? To make a program that, for example, for you to choose some learners to help other learners understand, like to make them tutors, okay? Tutors. To help them teach other learners to understand. They are, you follow the curriculum. You must also bring in parents to explain that, yes, your kids, maybe he or she is good, So she will be helping other learners maybe during study time or maybe during the lesson and so forth. And what is the advantage of that? Okay, of allowing other learners also to help other learners to teach other learners to understand. And also, how can you set up, okay, the process of coming up with this tutoring system in school? Okay, so those are some are here, the list: obtaining commitment, teachers, select staff, select peer, and so forth. So those are programs. So guys, I think we are done with our 2022 examination tutorial. So I wish you all the best. Just keep on reading. So we all, even me also, yes, I also do online distance, okay? So I know how I manage with my study and also my work. I think you should also do the same. So I wish you all the best. Thank you.